Hi guys. I just want to share what God's got on my heart for us all today. And I hope you'll just take a quick listen. I'm not going to take up much of your time, but I beg you to listen. This is for the church, and this is even for people who might just be coming to God or thinking about coming to God. I just don't ever want you to forget these words. I'm going to give them to you the way that God's given them to me. And I want you to learn from them, and I want you to grow from them, okay? I have always been the girl who loved to go worship. We'd go to church or to the church house, the worship, the assembly, and I would always be the one clapping the loudest, hands raised, calling out to God, not ashamed at all, but so very thankful for all that He's done in my life because He's worth it. He's worthy. Well, years and years ago, anytime the church doors were open, I wanted to be there because I wanted to go find God. I wanted to go get my God. I wanted to go get Jesus. I wanted to go and just soak Him up. And one day he spoke to me, and He struck a chord in my heart that I've never, ever, ever been the same since. I was in the middle of worshiping God, hands raised, eyes to heaven, just calling out to my daddy, telling Him how awesome He was, telling Him how much I loved Him and how much I loved to worship Him, and He's so worthy. And He stopped me in my tracks that day. And He said, "You don't do this when it's just me and you." And then He said, "Is it really all for me? Is it really about me and you?" And He convicted my heart. And I started to think, you know what? You're right. Why don't I worship You like I do every day when nobody's looking, like I do at church? Why do I wait to find You until 1 or 2 days a week? Why don't I go after You myself and not accept anything less than Your voice? And He set me on a path that day that I've never, ever, ever, I've never been able to get off of, honestly. Because once He shows you something as truth in life, you can't ever unsee it. You know, in the Bible it says that His sheep know His voice and they will not follow another. And once you realize and get revelation that you can have the voice of God speak directly to you, lead your life, and show you things you've never ever experienced or expected, you cannot settle for anything else. You cannot. You know, and I began to think, you know, when I would read the Bible, every single one of those people who wrote the stories or wrote the letters or had an encounter with God and were the ones that we look up to, they have one thing in common, and it's that they could hear the voice of God for themselves. They could talk to Him like a friend. And I said, I can never be satisfied until that's what our walk looks like, because You've already shown me that's what it is with You. That's what You desire. You desire to be that real in our life, that going to a worship service is just lagniappe. You're with the family of God, and isn't this awesome? We're all together. But the meat of our relationship is like this with me and God, and I think that I know that that's what He wants for us all. So I just wanted to tell you, this is what I did, and it may look different for you, but I hope that you will pray into this. After He told me that, I decided to go after God, and I would set aside time to plug into Him, to set everything else aside and plug into Him every day. Of course, life would happen, and some days it wouldn't, but you always felt that void, and you always felt that calling. I'm waiting for you, and I want you here with me. Let's talk, you know. I began to read my Bible, and I began to pray out, and the types of prayers you pray matter. I begin to pray out, I want to know you more than anybody else that I know in my life. I want your voice to be louder and clearer than any other voice, including my own. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know your ways. I want to know you above everybody else. Not saying I want to know you better than other people. I'm saying I want to hear you more than I hear anybody or anything else. I want you to lead and guide me. And that's how I would call out. I want you. I want to know you more. I want to know you more. And he began to interact with me. I began to recognize the whisper of God in my life. And he began to synchronize that gift and bring that gift into focus. And I began to, over years and years, it was always like a climb closer to God, closer to God. The more that you seek God, the more that he pours out. And he's wanting to make it personal with you. It doesn't make sense that you should have to go to somebody else to get God. When you're a babe, you drink milk from your mother. But when you're grown, you get the meat for yourself. And in the Bible, Paul comes back and he's like, I'm astonished that you're still on milk. You should be on meat by now. So here I am, and I have meat for you. The meat is revelation. The meat is going beyond knowing about God, and it is knowing God for yourself. And if you will grab a hold of this, your life will never be the same. You will never have to be afraid, because they can never strip you of God. You can have his voice that is a voice of peace. It is a firm foundation under your feet when all hell is breaking loose around you. This is what he desires for his people. Too long. We're astonished. We're astonished that you're still on milk. We shouldn't still be on milk. We should be on meat by now. So let's start weaning ourselves from man, and let's start connecting into God. This is the perfect time. There is no excuse. I think he's set this time aside for himself. So let's use it. Let's say, you know what? That's right. I want to know you. Everybody in the Bible that made any type of impact, they knew you. They were our examples. So I want to know you. Sit down. You don't have to be religious. You don't have to even put music on. Just sit down and pour your heart out and say, I want to know you more. I want to know you more. I want to know you where no other voice could pull me left or right, but that I see you, and you are what leads me. You are what guides me. You are what feeds me. You are what teaches me. You. And everything else is lagniappe. It's extra. Just icing on the cake. So that's my message today. I hope you grab a hold of it. I hope you pray into it. I hope you take action, because God's calling us up higher. He's taking away. He's pulling the bottle out of our mouth right now. He's pulling the bottle out, and he says, I want to preach to you. I want to teach to you. I want to fill you with fire, and I want to make you a blazing light in this world. He wants to get us to a place where we're not trying to bring the sick to a building. He's trying to get to a place where we go out and we chase down the sickness and we cast it out and we make it go. Because he's here. He's not outward somewhere else. That's Old Testament. That you had to go somewhere to get God. That's Old Testament. Now we have Holy Spirit inside of us. And he is the Word. The Bible or scriptures, they're the verses about God. They tell you about God. But the Word is a person. And if you will take the time to learn about him and to seek him, that spirit inside of you is going to be able to just unwrap who God is inside of you. And you're going to know him like you've never known him before. And he's going to take you places you never even dreamed in the spirit. That's what he wants for his children. This world is too dark for us to still be on milk. It's time to rise up, people of God. Let's go after him.